about organic and like using the term organic or using the term free range. Like, do you think it's
I think using the term free range on packaging is misleading for the reasons that not all of it's free range, right? Just like you said.
Yeah.
I also feel like
I've driven by some organic farms on the way up to my cottage, and it is a lot different. Like I see chickens that are roaming around freely in the grass, and cows that are walking around eating grass instead of eating basically crab out of a trough. And we buy our meat from there when we're up to my cottage, and it is a lot better than, I guess, chickens and cows that are sitting there in their own feces for their entire life.
I don't think that like we even have to like discuss or like question why that would be better, like why the meat tastes better or why it's better for the environment or the world or for whatever. Like it just seems to me to make sense that, you know, that's the way animals are supposed to live. And
well, now that you brought it up, so that's the reason why you think it's better to eat organic?
Well, I think it's better to, I don't know how to put it actually. I guess it's sustainability more than the word organic, because the word organic, like we said, is just kind of it's almost a label that can be bought by following these few rules. You can call your stuff organic, which is still good because it means they're not using pesticides or like a certain amount of growth hormones or whatever it is that it's laid out. So obviously it is better than complete industrial farming, but it's still not. It still goes against nature, and like that's what it says in the book. He talks about the industrial organic, like things that are considered organic, but you know, it's a factory farm. You've still got all these chickens or cattle or whatever living in these tiny little barns, you know, no room to range around. They're eating corn. They're not eating what they were built to eat. So I think that it's just common sense that animals should be eating what they've been evolved to eat. You know?
How do you feel about that, Sean?
I agree. I mean, cows are obviously not meant to eat corn.
Right.
They're meant to eat grass, but grass is hard to. I remember one of the chapters he touched on, if the grass is if it's grown too early, the cows won't eat it. If it's grown too late, they won't eat it. So you have to take care of your grass in order for the cows to want to eat it, which I guess takes a lot more work, and you can't really do that if your cows were all trapped in the build eating corn.
So what do you guys think about the evolution of grass? How it sustained itself? Do you think that's natural?
Well, I mean, grass grows everywhere, right? Like different types of grass. And grass is not just like the grass that we see on front lawns. Like the grass that he's talking about is, you know, dozens of different breeds of grass. I mean, the grass grows itself, and that's something that Joel Salatin, the farmer, says. Like, he's a grass farmer. Like, his job is to sort of keep an eye on the grass and then use the cycle of the grass to control the cycle of everything else that's happening on the farm. So, like the sustainability of using grass as the main like component of feed for animals, you need more land for it, and it does take more coordination, more science, more understanding, more respect for nature, more patience, and all that stuff. And that's just not something that happens in a corporate world, which is what we live in. And that's what's happened. The big companies have taken over the farms, changed the way that they're doing it, centralized everything to maximize profits, and so we lose this type of farming, which is real farming, right? In my opinion, anyways.
The non-organic, I guess, they don't want to spend as much money on taking care of the grass when they can just feed mass amounts of corn to every animal.
Corn also makes them fattier, so it makes them tastier. And makes them weigh more, and you sell meat by weight, right?
That's
so
true.
It's more money.
Very true.
But it's not producing a healthy animal. So, and then that's what we're eating. Like, you know, if you knew that a cow was dying of cancer, would you want to eat the meat from that animal? Probably not, right? You'd want to eat meat from a healthy animal. So, I think that the whole natural cycle, the pastoral farming, is definitely more natural.
Mhm.
I did like the taste of the grass fed.
Yeah, the
I
grass fed
enjoyed it.
was definitely more chewy.
I guess it's because since the non-grass fed, they don't move around a lot, so I guess their muscles are like jello.
Relaxed.
So
And
they're
then
gonna be
the
more
cows
tender.
that walk around and eat grass all day,
A little bit tougher.
yeah, it's a little
Because they get to
tougher
use their
because they
muscles.
get to use their muscles a lot more.
Yeah. I think the difference was like, I mean, the grain fed wasn't bad. It was good. It was a good steak. Like that's the steak that I've eaten mostly.
Yeah. That's what you're used to, right?
Yeah, it's probably.
So trying the grass fed is a little bit different.
Yeah, as far as I know, I've never eaten grass fed beef
Right.
before.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, but like I've never known about it. I think the difference in taste for me was that the grain fed, all of the flavor came from fat, which is good. Like obviously it tastes good, but when I was eating that meat, it tasted good because the fat tasted good. And then the grass fed, you had the fat which tasted good. But then there was also something else to the actual meat, I think, that tasted a little bit better. So, I think there is a quality difference.
Almost like it was, if it was seasoned by life.
Seasoned by life.
Seasoned by life.
Like
that.
good
I
time.
like that. Marinated by life.
Just okay. Backtracking a little bit. We were talking about like using the word organic or like advertising to people. Like, what do you guys think? Like about the general public? Like people are. Do you think people are educated? Do you think they care?
I think people are really misinformed.
Yeah,
Misinformed.
I'm pretty sure most people who buy organic, they might just look for the word organic
Yeah.
and then immediately
It's
think it's
trendy.
good for you. But
It
the
is
way
trendy.
I do it is, I buy it from certain people when I find out where they get their food and how they get their food.
Yeah.
And they tell me that they get it from, say, a farm a couple miles away when all of it's free range, actual free range. And then it's all better for you than actually buying it from the big organic places that aren't free range at all.
What about like, again, like just the general public? Do you think people care? Like, if you're like, oh, this is, grass fed, it's nature, it's life, quote everything from the book. Versus being like, oh, here's the steak that you've eaten your whole life. By the way, this one's twice the price. Like, do you think people care?
I think,
Do you think they
they're
do?
more like organic, too expensive, I'll keep eating what I'm eating already.
Some people.
Some people, I guess it all depends on your budget as well, because most people can't really afford organic every day for every meal.
It is expensive. It definitely was more expensive.
Yeah, very expensive.
But one of the things that he mentioned in the book too is that, like for this time period, we're spending less money on food than pretty much any other generation. Like he said, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and whatever, we spent a lot more money on food. And then now food has become so cheap because of the way that they're farming, because the industrial farming, where it's just like produce as much as you can, as cheap as possible, sell. They want to overproduce almost. We're very wasteful. So things are abundant and they're very cheap.